Good evening, I'm Larry Smith.
And I'm Megan Mannering.
Glad you're with us here tonight. After a break yesterday, it has been another rainy day today. And yes, there is more in the forecast.
Let's go straight to meteorologist Patrick Carrion with the first look at your storm tracker forecast.
Yeah, we definitely saw some downpours already, even some showers and storms spread across the Commonwealth. We do have one area we are monitoring. This is out the Mountain Parkway near Clay City, just alongside the parkway near Verdon. This is an area that's showing some type of upper level rotation. I want to make it clear, nothing severe right now, but it's definitely something we're keeping our eyes on. We've seen it cycle from a few weakening and strengthening. That's what the term cycling is when you have a storm like this. But we're definitely keeping our eyes out on it as we look across much of the rest of the region. We'll set down further southwest towards the Campbellsville area, just outside the Cumberland Parkway, northbound of Columbia. We see another storm out there that's packing some lightning mixed in as well. So keeping our eyes on a couple more storms. Again, nothing severe right now, but it's important for us to just monitor it as we're going over the course of the rest of the evening. Temperatures hanging out in the lower 70s. Areas have seen rain. Mount Sterling 73. Further south, London, Somerset, you're into the lower 80s. And as we look at future track, at least for the rest of the evening and so forth, we will continue to see those showers and storms linger until the evening continues. Even heading into the overnight hours, we'll have a couple stragglers heading into the morning hours, heading into Wednesday and so forth. It'll look to be another chance for some scattered showers and storms to develop. We'll keep you posted here and keep watching those couples of storms we pointed out. I don't know my full forecast. Oh, there it is. We have a tornado warning now, Bill. And we're still... The
tornado warning just got issued by the Weather Service office in Jackson, the storm you were just talking about here.
Yes.
And so go ahead and you've got it this far. Go ahead and take it for the moment.
Yeah, we're still looking. There's that rotation we talked about. This is out in the Verdon area and northwestern alongside the Mountain Parkway. We've talked about rotation. We talked about it just about a minute or so ago. So this is in effect till what time, Bill?
Tornado warning is going to be in effect until 7:45.
7:45, Powell County, Verdon, West Bend. This is where we see that rotation, that hook echo that we're noticing there. So, of course, if you're alongside those areas, take shelter now. That means interior rooms, basements if possible. An old saying of if you can punch the outside wall from where you are, get inside a more interior room. So still seeing that hook towards West Bend, Verdon area. This is going to continue moving towards Montgomery County, where it is already, and even head into Bath County and as far east as Menifee County as well. This is until about 7:45 p.m. where we do see that hook near the Verdon area moving at about 27 miles an hour. So we're mostly looking at Jeffersonville and 719. Gives you a little bit of time, about 15, 17 minutes to take shelter and head into an area, an interior room. If you're on a mobile home, try to get to a shelter if you can. If you're in a house, basement if possible, an interior room. As many walls as you can get between you and your outside wall.
All right, and one thing to note, Patrick, is that the storm has gone through several cycles here over the last hour. We've been tracking this cell all the way out of northern Jessamine County. It tightened up as it started crossing the Mountain Parkway there. This is going to be just north of Clay City. So you see Verdon, West Bend there along the Mountain Parkway. This is on a track as long as the cell continues to stay together. Jeffersonville and Means, you are certainly in the path of this cell. This will be passing north of Stanton. So if you're in Stanton, if you're in Bowen there in Powell County, this warning does not include you. So again, this is for the northern part of Powell County until 7:45. Also for Montgomery County, that's going to be not including Mount Sterling. So Mount Sterling, you are not included in this warning, but Jeffersonville is. So crossing 460 there, Jeffersonville, Means, and then on toward Frenchburg in Menifee County, again, for this tornado warning. So this is a cell, again, that has gone through several rotations, several cycles over the last hour, more than an hour, taking us back to the news time.
Right.
And I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to do in terms of safety. And Patrick, you are going through your first severe weather season with us. What we have here is something called duck. And so, in fact, it's something called sea duck. And what that is you want to close all your interior doors and windows if you can. With that, you also want to be downstairs, lowest level you can. You get under something big and sturdy. You also want to go ahead and keep away from windows and doors, sources of flying glass. Keep a bike helmet nearby if you can. This is our way to help you stay safe. Hopefully you've already figured out where all your safe spots are and are not trying to figure it out here on the fly. If you are in Menifee County, if you're in Powell County, if you're in Montgomery County with this tornado warning. Patrick, you see again, look at that cell near Verdon, and go ahead and describe with that cell north of Clay City.
Yeah, that's where we see that hook. That's where you're going to find that rotation. That's right where that little arrow is going in, north of Clay City, east of Verdon. So if you're west of Verdon, you're okay for now. But we are still looking where that hook echo is. That's where that rotation is. That's where you'd find where that tornado would be if it were on the ground, would be north of Clay City. Of course, always treat every tornado warning as if it is on the ground too. And sometimes you hear the terms radar confirmed, or then there's different types of tags. Always treat it as if it's actually on the ground. There's where we're seeing our shear rate. This is where you can see that rotation, that little red dot just north of Clay City is where that area of concern is. So that's where we've seen, once again, where that hook is, the rotation, where that tornado would be, again, in parts of Powell County. And that's, of course, where it's heading about 17 miles an hour. Jeffersonville, 7:31 p.m. So you have some time to take shelter. Of course, make sure you have as many interior walls. Take a helmet with you. Keep your shoes on as well.
If there's one saving grace out of this is a fairly lightly populated area going across the northern part of Powell County where this tornado warning is in place. So for folks there in Verdon, you are basically, the storm has passed you at this point. But again, actually the hook is beginning to get a little bit better organized. Still passing north of Stanton. So again, Stanton not included in this. Clay City, you are not included in this. But the cell itself is getting close to the Montgomery and Powell County lines. North of Clay City, this is going to be south of Jeffersonville. So the highway that runs between Jeffersonville and Stanton, that is where we are looking at this cell on its way to next. So you folks there, you guys need to be in shelters. As we were describing what those shelters were, you want to be lowest level you can. You want to be out of a mobile home that is not safe even in a weak tornadic situation. But for folks there in Fagan, in Means, in Cornwell, Jeffersonville, you guys need to be in shelter with its tornado warning until 7:45, Montgomery County, as well as Menifee County. We've had no reports of a touchdown yet, so this is radar indicated. But there was something called a cell merger that occurred about 15-20 minutes ago, and that added extra shear into the environment. And so again, that's why we're seeing the structures that we are. It's, again, not a confirmed tornado with anybody citing it, but it is a radar indicated tornado. I'm just reading what the Weather Service has said. Just saying that the radar structure visibly improving, which is what we've been showing you here. So that's the information from the Weather Service as well. Patrick?
Yeah, still right where that hook is just north of Clay City. So west of Clay City, Verdon, you're okay. Just east of them alongside the Mountain Parkway and that highway between Jeffersonville and North Clay City. That's that area of concern that we're watching, where that rotation has been, where that shear has been moving 17 miles an hour. It'll reach y'all in Means about 7:34 p.m. So you've got some time. It's a pretty slow-moving storm to, of course, take shelter and treat it as if it is on the ground, of course, and have as many walls in between you and the exterior of your home or your mobile home. If you're in the mobile home, as Bill said, you're going to want to find a better shelter because even in a weaker tornadic situation, it's not going to be a good place to be, so keep that in mind. Moving again, 17 miles an hour till about 7:45. That's what we're tracking for this storm. That's just north of Stanton. Stanton, as we've said before, you guys are not included in the warning for that as well. So again, still looking at that hook area just north of Clay City, south of Carmago as well, as we'll zoom back in.
And that highway from Jeffersonville to Stanton's Highway 213.
Highway 213, okay.
So again, if you are near Highway 213 there at the Powell-Montgomery County line. If you've got folks that are driving through there, you need to alert them. You need to alert them to get to shelter. They may be unaware that a tornado warning has been issued for them. You see again some of the communities that will be impacted here over the next few minutes. That BTI number that at the bottom there, the BTI of 2.5, that is called the Barron Tornado Index. That number's actually come up here a little bit in the last few minutes, so that's a sign that the storm has been trying to intensify. It's not a big storm. Your top is only coming in at 19,000 feet, but it's in a highly sheared environment, and so with that in mind, you are looking at that potential of a tornado from this. So again, it's now approaching Highway 213, basically at the Powell and Montgomery County line. So it's south of Camargo. Camargo is technically not in the warning. Jeffersonville is. Means is. That's right there at the Menifee and Montgomery County line. Fagan, you are included with this. It does reach all the way to Frenchburg. The warning itself does extend all the way to Bath County. It's a long way off from Bath County at this point. But you folks there from Hope north and northeast, be prepared to move to shelter very, very quickly. The cell itself continues to show, and this is a change in this cell in the fact that it hasn't cycled back down again. We were watching this on about 5-minute cycles where it would cycle back up and cycle back down. This one has maintained structure here, well, since we basically started the newscast here, so for about the last 10 minutes or so. And with that, you are going to see that cell continue to progress northeast with the tornado warning. Patrick.
Yeah, warning until 7:45. We talked about slow-moving storm, but of course, if you're in the polygon at all, just make sure you are taking cover, of course, in Powell County, Montgomery County. That's where that hook is, just east of Clay City, now close to the highway. Again, if you have any friends alongside of it, family members driving, anybody you know, definitely call them and alert them that they are in that polygon and where that area of concern is. Just north of Stanton and east of Clay City, now moving 17 miles an hour. Still looking lucky stop, 7:29. You got about 18 minutes. Again, if you can get into an interior room or a basement, that's the best situation you can be in. Mobile homes are not a safe place to be for any type of tornadic storm. So if you can find another shelter to be, that's the best place to look.
Yeah, one thing to note here is there has been an uptick in the lightning. And that's an indication that the storm is also intensifying. You're seeing that north of where the hook echo is. So that's, if this storm is producing a little bit of small hail, that's where that would be located. But this is at least a borderline supercell structure that we've been looking at with this. But the thing to take note of here as well, you are in very mountainous terrain at this point. And so visibility is going to be poor if you are trying to actually see this cell, for yourself. Tornado warning does not mean go on your front porch and try and get a video of it. Get in your shelter now. When the storm has passed, if it's safe, then you can get your video. But do not be outside trying to get pictures of this storm. You're in terrain that is hilly. There are trees. I mean, you're in the forest there. So you need to be aware that visibility is going to be poor, and this storm is likely going to become rain-wrapped. And so the likelihood that you're not going to see it until it's on top of you is there. The cell itself looks to be crossing Highway 213 at this point, and we're saying Highway 213. It's that red line that you're seeing going right through there that goes from Jeffersonville down to Stanton. So that is what we are talking about where the cell is now. Sweeps coming by. You're seeing the data update, which it does live here with the Max Track. And so again, the cell itself right at the Powell-Montgomery County lines. For you folks there, that's where you need to be in your shelter. We've got no new data from the Weather Service on this. With that, we are going to go ahead and talk about this warning. Patrick, let's swap spots here.
Yeah.
And if you can, check socials, see if anybody's posted anything there, and we'll continue right here with this warning. Again, it has maintained itself pretty well going through the northern part of Powell County. So that dark line that you see right there, that is going to be the Powell and Montgomery County line. That's where this cell is now. So if this storm is producing a tornado, that's where it's going to be. So again, you see it's on a track that's going to take it pretty close to Fagan, pretty close to Means. You folks really need to be in your shelter now. As we're looking more to the south, I think what we're seeing, can you go ahead and flip, give the hand tracker over to me?
I'll get out of it on my end.
Okay. So again, the lightning has increased here north of where that hook echo is. So again, this is maintaining a pretty good radar signature. You folks in Means, you folks in Fagan, in the western part there of Menifee County, you guys need to be in shelter. The extreme southeastern part there of Montgomery County, south of 460 it looks like, is between Means and Jeffersonville. That's where this storm is headed at this point. Steve, our director, I know you've got folks out there in Jeffersonville. Make sure they're in shelter at this point. So that is where we are looking at that particular cell. Are we live on this yet? Yes, we are. So, okay, let's do a quick reset just to show you where we're talking about to make sure you see where we're talking about with all of this cell. It's one cell here in eastern Kentucky. That is where the tornado warning is. You're seeing that clustering of lightning going on with it on that broader picture shows up much better for you. So we'll come back in and show you where that cell is going. Again, this is a tornado warning. So again, classic hook shape right in there. So this storm really intensified over about a 10-15 minute span. In fact, we had just tweeted out that the storm had not been severe at 7 o'clock, but then immediately after the warnings were issued. So again, you can see it wrapping right in there at this point. So that is approaching, still technically in Powell County, well north of Stanton. So again, you folks in Stanton, you're fine. You're going to watch that cell pass by to your north. You folks in Jeffersonville, you're going to see that rain begin to pick up here shortly. You folks in Means, you folks in Cornwell, in Fagan, even as far to the east as Frenchburg. Guys, you got to get into your shelters. The western part there of Menifee County, the eastern part there of Montgomery County is where this cell is going. And this is, again, going to be south of 460. That runs from Means to Jeffersonville to Camargo. With that lightning increase, again, indicating that the storm has intensified. We'll give you, again, kind of what you need to do in case of severe weather if you're in the house. Where do you need to go? And with these, we try and make this as simple as possible. You want to be at the lowest level you can. So if your house has a basement, that's where you go. If your house doesn't have a basement, you want to just be on that floor where you exit out, the ground floor. You want to be in the middle part of your house. The walls of your house are all layers of protection. In this particular schematic, it would be that interior bathroom. You also have the plumbing in there, which actually helps to reinforce the walls. A secondary one would be that small closet right there. But again, you want to be in the middle part of your house. Small room, certainly better. And if you can have something strong surrounding you. A staircase is a strong structure. These are the ways that you can indeed be safe during these severe weather situations. So again, here's your storm once again. We are south of Jeffersonville in Montgomery County. The overall pattern on this looks a little bit less, well, defined as was just a minute ago.
The storm's turning right alongside, just crossing now to 213.
Okay, so it's crossed 213 at this point. So we're looking here on the Max Track Live. So if it's a right turner, which actually the storm split when they were in Jessamine, one cell went up toward Fayette. This part of the cell that we've been tracking has turned right the entire track across Madison County over the last couple of hours. So again, you folks in Means, you folks in Fagan, you guys need to be in shelter. And again, the storm a little bit less, don't have the velocity display showing up there. So let's go back to our live. Let's see if Jackson, what they've got going, see if we've got our shear markers still showing up here. So it's showing the shear is a little bit south, although the hook that we're showing is certainly a little bit north of that, but still north of Stanton, still to the close to the Montgomery and Powell County lines. This is going to be east of 213 at this point. When we're looking at their storm relative velocity, so again, there you're seeing that cell rotation right there. This image may be a couple of minutes old because it's coming from the Weather Service office there in Jackson from their radar site, which is now going to be a little bit closer than our radar is. So the closer you get to a radar, the better pictures that you get off of it. So again, you're seeing, if you're using the schematics or how this is working, let's try if we get that to go. There we go. So what you're looking at here with the velocity display, when you see the green, that's going toward the radar site, which at this case is in Jackson. The red is going away. And so that is your counterclockwise rotation that we were talking about there. Then it'll get a little messy for you. But again, you're also seeing there's a lot of bright greens showing up. That tells you that the storm, as it tightened up, the speeds increased. And you can, it's one of the Bill's Weather 101 demonstrations. By the way, when we're speaking of Bill's Weather 101s, every time we're out there with the kids, we talk about tornado safety and not to panic. This is your time not to panic. What you hopefully have done is you've thought of where your safe spot is, and it's your time to get there and get there quickly. So again, northern part of Powell counties, western part of Menifee, southeastern corner there of Montgomery County is where we are looking at this particular cell. So again, you're seeing where that hook is located, right in there. What that is you've got the part of the downdraft rotating in behind. And this is what we saw tighten up here over the last little bit. We were showing that with the radar, but that's where the cyclone or the circulation is going to end up being at this point. So you've got Means up here to the north. Jeffersonville is going to be, the storm is passing south of Jeffersonville at this point. And again, it's passing north of Stanton. So that's, again, the folks, Stanton, you're in the clear. Clay City, you're in the clear. Mountain Parkway toward Clay City, again, toward Verdon, toward Waltersville. You're in the clear with this. This is headed into the northern part of Powell County, north of the Parkway, north of Bowen. But it is on a path that's going to take it close to Means and close to Fagan. And again, Menifee County, one of the counties that was hit back in 2012. So we are certainly hoping this is not going to be any sort of repeat of that. But again, you folks know what to do. You know where to get to shelter, and you need to do that part right now. So just to reiterate, we have tornado warnings, and this is going to be until 7:45. That's a tornado warning for the northern part of Powell County. It's going to be north of the Parkway, north of Stanton, north of Bowen. It's going to be for Montgomery County, especially areas from Jeffersonville, still include Jeffersonville in this, from Jeffersonville eastward. And by the way, in Jeffersonville, you've got the heavy, heavy rain ongoing. You've got the lightning. You may get a little bit of hail. Camargo, you're not included with this. Mount Sterling, you are not included in this. And but your neighbors to the southeast there on 460R. Means there at the Menifee and Montgomery County line, you are included in this. Cornwell in Menifee County, Fagan in Menifee County, you are included in this. So again, this is your tornado warning until 7:45. Any new information, Patrick?
They picked up pea-sized hail in Jeffersonville, and that's about all I've heard from the Weather Service side of things.
Okay. So with that pea-sized hail there in Jeffersonville, that's the part of the lightning that you're seeing there. That was that part of that storm structure. So again, that's a sign that the storm has indeed become a supercell. The hook is still there, still pretty well defined for you. And with the velocity displays, again, you've got the greens and the reds co-located here. So again, right at the Powell and Montgomery County lines, that's where the circulation center is at this point. When we're looking at the shear, again, it's going to be about the same spots. So again, close there to that county line. But again, you can see in the topography here, this is very mountainous terrain. Your visibility is next to zero if you're down in one of the valleys. So you need to be in your safe shelter at this point. And again, warning until 7:45. This is a cell that, again, has been, well, there's an updated image from Jackson. So theirs comes in about every 3 to 4 minutes. So it's not quite live. We'll get you to our live radar here in a sec. But again, with this new scan that came in, this cell has maintained itself. And in fact, it has wrapped up even a little bit tighter. When we're talking about the storm wrapping up, best way to visualize this is if you've ever watched an ice skater. And when an ice skater begins to do their things, they start out with a wider stance, but when they tighten up is when they go fast. Same thing works with the tornado. The circulation begins broad aloft, but as it tightens up, that's where the speed comes from, and that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing this tightening up, and it's been doing so here for about the last 15, 20 minutes or so. That is the Jackson radar. Let's give you the live look where the radar, or the storm actually is now with the max track. Basically same spot at this point. So again, you're seeing the same structures here. So there is where that storm is now. And again, it's hugging the county line there. Now, that's where the strongest rotation is. There's going to be strong winds that are going to be on the periphery of this as well. So again, we're in a very rural area there. But along that edge there, that's where the downdraft has been coming in and around, and that's what wraps up into the storm and gets pulled up into the updraft. That's what we've been watching. That's where the tornado has been. Fagan, the storm is getting closer to you. Means the storm is getting closer to you. If you are in Fagan, so what we're talking here, you're 5 miles away. Storm's going at 17 miles an hour. You're what, 10 minutes? Ish. Sorry for not being able to do quick math on the fly there. But you get the idea that the storm is getting very close to you. Means the storm looks like it's going to be coming very close to you as well. Jeffersonville, looks like the storm is passing to your south. Okay? So you can see the cell is south of Jeffersonville. It's not going to back that way. So again, the track of this is taking it toward Fagan. So your tornado warning is going to continue here for Powell until 7:45, Menifee until 7:45, and the southeastern part of Montgomery until 7:45, especially from 460 and south there in Montgomery County. So Camargo, Jeffersonville, Mount Sterling, you guys are fine. Stanton, Bowen, you're fine. But within this polygon here, that's where the tornadic storm, potentially tornadic storm is. And again, it is also perilously close to means at this point.
Saying that the rotation looks to be broadening, and
okay,
it could be cycling again. Yep,
so as I said, it's been going through a cycling. So same idea we just talked about a second ago. When we talked about the ice skater, when they tighten their arms up and they go faster, same idea. If they expand out, that's how they slow down. When we say that the cell itself looks to be, the rotation appears to be broadening, that means that it's weakening, at least for the moment. Now the cell has gone through several cycles over the last really couple of hours, so we are again hopefully getting into a weakening phase with this. But again, you cannot let guard down.
Bath County is now out of the new midpoint warning.
Okay, so they took Bath County out. Yep, they tightened up the polygon here. Let's expand that. So they keep it south of the Bath County line. Yep. That was one of those better safe than sorry at the onset. Now that we've got a better handle, tighten everything up on this. So again, you see how the structure is in place. There is your hook. There is the heavy rain and the hail core. There has a hail core to it, but that is at least a minimal supercell structure. Again, you see how Jeffersonville, you're past the storm now. Same with Camargo. You guys are probably from Camargo and Mount Sterling can look to the southeast, and if your sky is relatively clear, although it looks like rain there at Mount Sterling, but you may be seeing one dandy of a storm. You can see the lightning's beginning to increase out ahead of the cell. So we're getting from the anvil as it comes out, you're going to start to see some lightning strikes coming out ahead of the main cell. So again, this is an interesting one, and again, one that is certainly warned for. Tornado warning 7:45. You'll be in shelters in Powell County, Menifee County, and Montgomery County until 7:45. As we come back in closer here, again, you're seeing there's Lucky Stop. So the storm has passed Lucky Stop. It's going to pass south. And so with that, it was at least part of the polygon here, but again, and it's also looking more ragged than it was. So again, that's part of the cycling process here. I think it's actually, if it's doing anything right now, it would be in that southeastern corner of Montgomery County, right there at the Powell County line. The storm is still on a path toward Fagan. It's going to be awfully close to mean, so you guys still need to be in shelter. Cornwall, same idea, shelter, but again, this got a little more of a right turn to it. This may end up being more toward Fagan than Cornwall, but you don't take that chance. You get in your shelters now because this storm is literally just a few miles away from you at this point as you're getting ready to get into the western part there of Menifee County. So again, this is going till 7:45. Let's bring it out to Jackson again. And the shear, again, remember we had the red dots on there earlier. That was indicating strong rotation. We're at the greens headed toward the yellow. Okay, so there's still rotation there. There's still shear available. It's not as concentrated as it was. That said, you do not let your guard down until this warning has expired. We're just telling you that the storm itself has gone through some cycling processes. And with that, again, talking about the broader rotation here as well. Remember just a couple of minutes ago, you had the greens and the reds that were on top of each other. The bright greens and the bright reds, they were on top of each other. Well, now they're separated a little bit. So that means the cell itself, the rotation is broadening as it's approaching there. So again, that's good news. That's what we want to continue to see happen. Even though that's good news, you don't let your guard down. With the cell, again, if you're looking at other regular velocity, saying there's not a whole lot of difference between storm relative and base velocity. Getting some brighter greens showing up here. So what that's telling you is coming in on the back side of that cell, going toward the radar site there at Jackson. There's a little bit of an inflow again, a little bit of a strengthening. That's what started this whole process a little while ago. So another recycling may be about.
Menifee, Powell, and Montgomery County line where they all meet.
So what Patrick was just describing there, the Menifee and Powell and Montgomery County lines, that is right there. So that is where we are looking at this cell as we have been tracking this off to the east. So again, this is just south of Means. This is just south of Highway 460. Runs from Frenchburg through Means there to Jeffersonville. So it's again just south of Highway 460. Fagan, you are still certainly in the path of this cell. It is just a couple of miles away from you at this point. You need to be in your shelter. Let's remind you again where that is very quickly with CDUC. So what that is, you close the interior doors if you have time. You compartmentalize your house. Closet doors, hallway doors, bathroom doors. You compartmentalize everything. Then you want to get downstairs, the lowest level you have. Basement if you got it, ground floor if you don't. You want to be under something big, heavy, and sturdy. A big, heavy table. You want to be under a staircase if you can. If you can get into a bathroom, debris. You want to be in the center part of your house. The walls of your house are layers of protection. Use those to help you stay safe. You don't want to be near a window or a door because what that does is that it gives you the opportunity to be near flying glass. If you can also, keep a bike helmet there. If you can grab one, go into your safe spot, certainly do so. And that will help you stay safe. So CDUC is our way of helping you stay safe for this potentially tornadic storm. We have the tornado warning continuing. It's still for the northern tip there of Powell County until 7:45, eastern part of Montgomery County until 7:45, and the western part of Menifee County all until 7:45. This has been a relatively long-lived version of this cell as it progresses eastward. Keep in mind, we're getting into hilly terrain, so normally that begins to disrupt wind flow. We proved that, though, that doesn't always work that way. 2012, the prime example. So you can't take the hills for granted as being a protector. With that, so the cell, again, not quite the same pronounced hook that it had, but it is still a storm that is warned for, and until we say otherwise, until the Weather Service says otherwise, the warning will remain in place. So you folks in Fagan, you are in your shelters now. For Cornwall, you are in your shelters now. I'm trying to see if we pick up any other small towns here, and really this is just a pretty rural area of Menifee County. There really aren't any to pick up there. So let's bring this out broad real quick for you. Again, that's the only warning in town. We got a strong storm down there in Casey County, not severe, but it's that cell. You can see the isolated tornado warning. And what happened here, we've got a warm front that is cutting about like that. And as this crossed the warm front, there was shear available, and that's what provided the impetus for this storm to become tornadic. So let's bring you back in. Anything new, Patrick?
Not the latest, nothing really, other than a little while ago they said that a service employee saw a wall cloud along the Mountain Parkway.
Yeah.
That was earlier in the storm's life.
Yeah, and we were seeing that on the Powell County Mesonet site. Definitely there was a wall cloud that had lowered from this. But again, you can notice it's not as pronounced as it was 10 minutes ago. That said, it's still potentially dangerous. And so you need to remain in shelters. Now again, Jeffersonville, you're in the clear. Means it is raining hard right now. You are in the midst of a horrible storm at this point. If it's tornadic, it's likely just south of Means, but it is on a path right toward Fagan. And so that is where we're looking. But again, it's not as pronounced as it was. So this is part of the cycling process. That said, you've got the tornado warning. 7:45 for Menifee, 7:45 for Powell, and that southeastern corner of Montgomery until 7:45. That also said, just because the tornadic part of the storm may be off just to your east, there are still violent winds that are in association with this storm that are helping to spawn this whole thing we've been talking about. So there could be some very strong winds coming in on the back side of this system in this eastern part there of Montgomery County, northern part of Powell County. That's part of what would then wrap in and get pulled in by the updraft. So that is where we're looking. So again, even though the tornadic potential may have passed to your east, it doesn't mean you're out of the woods from severe weather in parts of eastern Montgomery, northern part of Powell County there. So we're going to watch to see if this tries to tighten up one more time as it gets into Menifee County at this point. Keep in mind, anything north of the Parkway and Mountain Parkway, you guys are fine. Right now, 460. You've got heavy rain between Means and Cornwell. Not even doing anything yet in Frenchburg, but it will be. That storm is coming towards you. Don't wait for the storm to get to you if you're in Frenchburg. And it looks like the tornado warning just got added to.
Yeah, that's a new polygon they added to the southern part of the old polygon. And they said it's cycling and still has good structure. And that was the reason for the downstream warning.
Okay. So the new tornado warning, this is primarily, they're going to tighten this up, but it's Menifee County until 8:15 with this cell now. Now, technically, your apps would have gone off if you're in the northern part there of Wolfe County, but at this point, you guys, let's not panic there in northern Wolfe County just yet. But this is now primarily a Menifee County storm, although the cell itself is still lingering there at the Powell and Menifee County lines. Montgomery County, eastern part of the county, it is still storming hard. But the worst of it now is almost past Means. There still is going to probably be some strong winds just to the west there of Means. That could be cycling in and around. Jeffersonville, you guys are now basically in the clear. That's the updated radar scan from Jackson. So again, the worst of any rotation with this is now essentially on Fagan. So you guys would best be in your shelters. That's the entire Menifee warning now until 8:15. But there in Fagan, that storm is on you at this point. We're going to see if this goes through another cycling. Let's bring the max track on here.
It's moving at about 20 miles an hour now.
Okay. So again, there you see it on the max track. Again, it's beginning to flatten out for us as you're getting further away from the radar site. But it storms there over Fagan. We're seeing anything on the velocity? Yeah, so over there, we're at least getting the reds and greens intermingled here. So the cell itself is on Fagan. My gosh, Fagan, you folks there in that community, you better be in your basements right now listening to us, or in your shelters listening to us. If you're in a mobile home, if you're in Fagan, you may be safer in a ditch outside the home at this point, if you're in a mobile home. But again, hopefully you've already gotten to your shelters and took this warning seriously. So again, there's our sweep coming by. On the max track again, there's where we're seeing it just about over Fagan. Let's bring the Jackson radar back up. Anything on the shear rate? Again, the shear looks to be fairly weak at this point. It has tightened back up. Remember just a second ago. And again, we're talking right over Fagan. So remember a second ago, when we were showing you this same type of display, that we had space between the green and the red. Well, now things have tightened back up again. And so the storm is likely going through another cycling process. So again, that's what we're looking at when the storm is over Fagan right there. And so this is a tornado warning until 8:15 for Menifee County, and the storm itself is essentially on top of Fagan at this point. It's on a path that's going to take it awfully close to Frenchburg by the time it is done. So again, you're seeing Frenchburg there. Don't be surprised if this gets tightened up a little bit. For right now, it's almost all of Menifee County is included in this tornado warning until 8:15. Pure radar display. So again, you're getting that notching beginning to take place again. Here's your storm structure. For you folks in Fagan, again, don't worry about storm structure. Be in shelter. But what we're talking about here, right back here, that's where you're getting the rear flanking downdraft coming in, right like that. That's what's pushing this little bit out. That wind then gets pulled back around into the updraft, and that's where you get your circulation from, which again is sitting essentially over Fagan. So that's the storm structure, which has maintained itself now for quite a while. And again, it looks like it's going through another cycling, but that's another burst of that rear flank downdraft coming in. So also at the leading edge of that, south of Fagan, you are looking, well, there you see a perfect example of it. That's the updated radar display there from Jackson. So what we just saw happening, you see how that pulled in? Look at how that bulged out right there. So that's that strong wind feeding into this system and still being pulled in behind. So that is what we're seeing over Fagan right now. So that is your storm structure, which again is a classic look at this. So again, Fagan, you guys, you are absolutely in shelter. The path of this is going to come awfully close to Frenchburg. Mariba, you are going to be the next ones on target for this. They're saying it's moving east or due east, or a little north of east?
It's moving east.
East, okay. So we do this. All right. So it gives you an idea. Don't take these as gospel. Treat them, though, as a very strong guideline. So Frenchburg 752, Mariva 757, Denniston 804, and Pomeroyton at about 807. And now we're starting to get awfully close there to the Morgan County line. Looks like Morgan is also included. Yeah, Morgan until 815. So that western tip there of Morgan County is also included in this tornado warning. So again, you're seeing that cell from basically over Fagan at this point. Menifee County, 815 with that tornado warning. There again, you're notching in right there over Fagan. It's going to pass close to Frenchburg. So right now this storm is south of 460. It's running a good, looks like 5, 6, 7 miles south of Highway 460. So if you're just using that as a reference point. So the 460 is right there. You're running, well, 3 miles or so from 460. From Frenchburg, you are running 5 miles away. So a storm that's moving 20 miles an hour, you've got, what, 20 minutes, 15 minutes? Do the math, Patrick.
Looking at probably about 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
10, 15 minutes max.
Okay. So again, that's part of that tornado warning. And so the storm, again, awfully close to Fagan. Bring our max track back on just so we give you that live look. But again, just that really has turned into the classic look of that supercell. You saw the rear flanking downdraft, how the storm is cycling back around again. So again, we're seeing the worst of this over Fagan, maybe now just to the east. So this is our live picture. Here comes the sweep coming around again. Frenchburg, the storm is going to be awfully close to you. You see Denniston, Pomeroyton, Korea, Artville, Dan, Big Woods, Ratliff. Ezell, as we're looking there into Morgan County. So that is your current tornado warning. And again, part of that polygon does clip the northern part of Wolfe County. Patrick, whenever they mention anything, just jump in.
Yeah, they're saying the area of concern now is Fagan, and then it's heading towards Frenchburg.
Yep.
As we've said.
So remember, we are thinking back to the horrible day, March the 2nd in 2012. When we had tornadoes that went through Menifee County, that went through Morgan County, places that normally don't see storms like this, but did. Well, we're seeing at least the potential for something tonight. Likely not of that caliber, but you never, ever, ever want to take that chance. So be in your shelters if you're anywhere in Menifee County at this point. Means you guys are in the clear from this storm. So that storm has now passed by you. The other thing to take note of, and how we've, as we're kind of tracking this here for you, look at how the lightning has increased again. See that? So it tells you that the storm is going through another phase. So we may have cycled down here for a minute, but it's getting ready to come back up, and we're coming up on 8 o'clock, so we still have sunlight out there. But again, don't be trying to see this storm. Don't be trying to make your own visual contact with this. Trust in the fact that the radar sees what's going on and that you need to be in shelter now. Although we've seen this thing kind of flatten out, at least on our radar display. Jackson, we'll bring that back up again for you. Yeah, the tornado warning, we have gotten to the point where we have to mention that a tornado warning does not mean go out on your front porch with your cell phone camera to try and get a video. Do not do that. Get to safe spots. And again, talking about how the storm is trying to cycle again. You're seeing another, at least a minor hook beginning to develop here. This is now to the east of Fagan. Now, the tornadic part of the storm has passed by Fagan at this point. That said, there are likely still very, very strong winds in association with this entire storm structure going through Fagan at this point. Heavy, heavy rain along Highway 460 from just east of Frenchburg toward Cornwell. For you folks there, that's what you are looking at. So you see, Rothwell 749, Frenchburg 757, 805 there at Mariba. Ratliff, I'm not sure if it's going to get that far north, but you need to be prepared and ready. Denniston, same idea. It's on more of a path toward Denniston, but you've got a little bit of time. You've got a little bit of time. So think, prepare, don't panic. Get to where you need to be. And that's where we're looking in in the eastern part there of Menifee County.
Powell County is going to get trimmed down of the warning.
The storm is well out of Powell County. And we've got the overlapping warnings here in Menifee, treated as one. It's an 8:15 tornado warning for Menifee County. And that is a storm that's going to get awfully close to Frenchburg here. And I've spoken at Frenchburg Elementary there so many times. Menifee County schools, you guys need to just be ready and be prepared. Again, you're seeing, again, the communities that will be impacted here. Moving east to 20, storm top has actually come up from where it was earlier. The BTI number, remember we talked about that earlier. BTI is now up to 2.8. It's not a straight one-for-one ratio on it. It just, when you see it going up, that tells you that the storm chances are increasing. And so that's what we are looking at with that particular cell. Tornado warning until 8:15 now. Let's see, we're coming up on 7:45. The NBA, I think, starts at 8. We're going to be joining the NBA in progress. For you folks wanting to watch that game, we'll get you to it as soon as we can. We're about 15 minutes out. And I know you guys wanted to see BBN tonight and not available right now because we have this tornado warning. And again, the hook is becoming a little more pronounced again as we look there in areas to the east of Fagan, southeast of Frenchburg. So again, you're talking the very, very hilly terrain between Frenchburg and Fagan. Again, not densely populated, but we got people there. And so if you know folks that are in Mariba and Denniston, let them know if they may not be on tap with any media that you've got a storm coming your way. Frenchburg, you've got a couple of minutes. And the storm is going to be on top of you. And things, in fact, with this part of the storm here, things are going to change very, very quickly in Frenchburg. We're going from maybe not a whole lot going on right now. There's going to be heavy rain and wind and a lot of lightning and maybe some hail that comes along with it. And that's going to change very fast. And the cell itself, I mean, we are talking, this is only a few miles away now from Frenchburg. So again, where the hook is to Frenchburg is 3 miles or less. And so this storm is essentially on top of you. My goodness, be in your shelters now. In Frenchburg, in Mariba, in Denniston. This is where you guys need to be at this point. The storm has passed by Fagan. You're going to see your weather improve here, although it may still be windy. But again, not what it was a little bit ago. My goodness, hope everybody is okay there. We've had no confirmed touchdown. You see anything on social media?
I've seen videos that looks like this is back when it was north of Stanton. That did look like there was some kind of lowering, but besides that, not so much from there.
Okay.
Not so much sense.
All right. So again, still radar tracking this storm. We've had no confirmed touchdown yet. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened somewhere. Keep in mind, this is a fairly sparsely populated area, but it's not unpopulated. So there are folks who are being impacted by this storm as it's coming by. We have no direct confirmation that somebody has seen a tornado on the ground. Overall, it's been a system that has held together, though, over the last hour. And it's now approaching Frenchburg. It's passed by Fagan. Mariba, you guys are the next ones in line. And my apologies if I'm mispronouncing any of the town names here. But again, just you guys know who you are. So again, the bigger picture, the storm has passed well east now of Montgomery County. So your tornado warning is now strictly for Menifee County. Folks in Morgan and Northern Wolf, you're on guard. But the storm is still a little ways to your west. But again, this individual cell has been doing all the dirty work here. So again, it's approaching Frenchburg and coming its way to the east. You see again the communities. Frenchburg 8:01, so that's 10 minutes-ish. I can just look at the clock right there.
14 minutes.
Yeah. Ratliff 8:13, Denniston 8:15. So again, that gives you your timeline on this. And that's with the broad, that's not the tornado itself. That's the broad fan that you see here. That is what how the timings end up being similar. But again, the storm likely is going to come south of Ratliff, but it's going to be close. I'm thinking this is taking a little more of a, I think it's going more a little north of due east overall, what we've been watching with this. In terms of shear, there's on the top end of the weak version, but again, we're not seeing any of the reds showing up with this. So that part is certainly good. That doesn't mean it's not a tornado going on there. But again, look at how the lightning has increased. So again, everything is trying to to show you that the storm is really trying to intensify. The rotation looks a little broad as it's approaching Frenchburg now. You can see Mariba there off to the east. Your tornado warning from Menifee County till 8:15.
Small hail also is in Menifee County as well.
Okay. And with the small hail that Patrick was just mentioning, it's going to be in the areas now coming into Frenchburg. There's been, what were the storm stats on that? Hail size, dime. So the chance of severe hail not likely with this. That's a lesser part of this storm, obviously. But what is not lesser is where you're seeing, again, a little more pronounced hook showing up. So again, we've shown you how it's gone from really pronounced hook, kind of flattened out, and it's trying to wrap up again. And that's what you're seeing right in there. How you see it's bending back in, and that's going to be just south of Frenchburg. But again, strong winds likely occurring now around Frenchburg. Mariba, you're just a few miles away from this. Not quite to Highway 460 here. We're going to watch that approach Highway 460 in the next couple of minutes. So again, you folks there need to be prepared and ready. Again, for Fagan, the storm has passed by you. If it is safe, you can certainly send us information here at LEX-18. But again, when it's safe, there is no need to be venturing out with a storm approaching you. That said, again, we're looking at that potential tornado, and again, tornado warning until 8:15, and that is in Menifee County. So again, you're watching right now anywhere in central Kentucky. You're watching around Lake Cumberland. You're saying, we've got some storms out here too. Why aren't you talking about us? It's because those storms are not severe. The storms that are by you, what we call garden variety. This storm that's in Menifee County, this is the kind that can impact lives. So again, you're looking there right around Frenchburg, near where that cell is at this point. This is going to be closer to where the hook is. So again, Frenchburg coming up in the next few minutes, Mariba 8:04, Denniston 8:11. As the cell continues moving east at around 20 miles an hour. And again, I think that path is a little north of due east. So again, this is going to come very close to the town of Frenchburg there, and then the communities along Highway 460 and the communities of eastern Menifee County at this point. Fagan, you guys are in the clear, okay? Hopefully nothing came of this, and you guys can get back to normalized. The storm's passed by means at this point. But again, we saw the rotation of this was going right over Fagan. So again, we hope nothing was reaching the surface from the rotation that was aloft. And there has certainly been that. The storm, sometimes we'll look at this like, why is this warning being issued? This one is legit. The radar signature has been reasonably impressive. So just south of Frenchburg is where we're seeing that rotation area still showing up. It's close enough to Frenchburg. You guys are still in shelter. Base velocities, again, same idea. There's very little difference in between that and the storm relatives. But again, it's a little broader. The circulations, see how it's separated a little bit there? And that is certainly one of the things that we continue to watch for. But again, you've got Frenchburg right there. You see Mariba and Denniston. The next community's in line. So don't depend on the fact that, hey, maybe this has cycled down a little bit and you guys can relax in Mariba and Denniston. No, you cannot. You need to be in your shelters now, listening to us or watching us from distance, in your basements, in your shelters, however you're getting your information. So that's where we're looking at that cell right now. There's your tornado warning till 8:40 or 8:15 for Menifee County. Maybe flattening out a little bit again. So again, we've talked about how this thing is cycling, and it may very well be doing that. You can't count on that. So again, along the Highway 460 there in Mariba and Denniston, you guys need to be in shelter as this cell is coming by. Let's pop it on the Max Track to see how close we'll get the actual live look. It may be fairly close. So that's what the Max Track is seeing at this point. And again, we're getting a little further away. We're seeing the cell flattening out, but again, we're also getting some distance here.
They're saying that it's still cycling up and down,
yep,
and they're closely monitoring it if there's a need for another downstream.
Let's hope that they will hold off on any more warnings. Hopefully we won't need any more warnings. But this is something that there's what Patrick is reading off of. There's something. Well, describe National Weather Service chat, Patrick.
Yeah, we have this large chat room where we are in direct contact with both Louisville and, of course, Jackson, which is where this warning, their forecast area is. So we can directly talk to the people setting out and drawing the polygons and the warnings themselves to get a little close on what they think is also going on.
And when the cell was coming across northern Jessamine, actually central Jessamine, northern Madison counties on its way into Clark, it's one of the things we were talking about is we were getting a really good look at it with our radar located here on the north side of Lexington, and getting actually a better look than they get from the Weather Service offices in Jackson and Louisville. And we're telling them how it was looking at that point ragged, how it was cycling though on about 5-minute cycles, ups and downs, and that has been a hallmark of this. But when it cycles up, that's when you can get into another tornadic situation. It's not going to be a big, long-tracked tornado. But what this could be is, ooh, what did we just do here? Apparently, Steve just did something. Steve, when it is safe, not as the storm is getting to your house, when it is safe, go to lex18.com/capture. Don't walk in front of it. And that's how you can get your images and your information to us when it is safe. So again, you are seeing the storm near Frenchburg and likely producing hail now going on to the east there of Frenchburg. It looks like the hook itself is going to be passing just south of Frenchburg. And with that, again, you're likely getting the hail. Highway 460 passing right through there. So the storm itself is passing or getting very close. That's where the hook is, very close to Highway 460 between Mariba and Frenchburg. So that's where we are looking at that cell with the tornado warning that is in place. Thank you. But thank you for getting that up there, Steve. Appreciate that. This is where we are continuing to watch it. So you're actually seeing it again. So remember just a second ago how we were talking about, you're getting the downdraft, the rear flank downdraft coming back in like that. Well, that's what you're seeing beginning to bow out right there. And so you're going to get some strong winds south of 460. But it's those strong winds, it's that downdraft that can hook back in. And so that's what we're going to be watching as this storm has cycled several times. You see these downdrafts circle on through. Each time it does, you get the potential for a tornadic storm. So again, I think this is going to be, if it's producing a tornado, is going to be more of the up and downs instead of one long continuous path. But you can't depend on that. You've got to treat it as though this is a full strength long track tornado that's headed towards you. Treat it that way. Be safe. So if you're in Mariba, it looks like the warning just got pulled in a little bit. So again, it's central and eastern parts now of Menifee County. Wolfe County's been pulled out. It's clipping a little bit of Morgan County there over toward Ezell. Hopefully the warning will not get extended into the rest of Morgan County. And we know a lot of folks there in West Liberty and in Morgan County, just even almost 15 years later, still horror stories about that day back in March in 2012. So again, Mariba, you folks are the ones who are next in line, or at least pretty close. It may pass actually just, let me get the warning back up there. So 8:15 continues with that warning. And again, coming up on 8 o'clock. And if you were turning over for the NBA, we will get you there as soon as we can. There's going to be 15 minutes of pregame anyway. But
watching the Highway 460 corridor, that's the line of the primary concern areas along and north of it.
Yep. So 460, if you're running this, it's kind of getting lost in the blue shading here. That is going to be 460 roughly. So there is where we're looking at this. It will be passing 460 here. If it's not already done so, it will be shortly. So that begins to put places like Korea, Dan, and Artville into the mix with this particular cell. It's flattened out a little bit, but that's the rear flank downdraft coming in. So you're getting strong winds just south of 460 at this point. When we're looking at tightening up, that's in the area right in there is where you're seeing that it's approaching Denniston. But again, it's still broad. It's still not connected, but you don't wait for it to get connected. In terms of shear, again, sitting with it, it's not showing up as overly strong at this point, but still it is a legitimate warning that we have out here, and you guys need to be in your safe spots. Denniston, Korea, Dan. Let's go ahead and put a manual track on this. So we'll take you from the notch, and so 20 miles an hour, be right about there. So again, you're seeing some of the communities here. Mariba, 802, Denniston, 809, Wellington, 814, Korea, 821, Artville, 823, Dan, 825, Ezell, you're getting into Morgan County there as well, 828. Hopefully we don't get extended to that point. Penny Fryman in Richmond. Okay, so what you are looking at there is a wall cloud. I mean, you can obviously, that's a mesocyclone, the mesolow that you're seeing there. That's the arcing that you see, or the semicircle shape that you see there in the cloud. You've got the structure below the cloud, and you see certainly a rain shaft below that cloud. Whether or not there's a tornado in there, don't know. You can also see some scud off to the south, or to the bottom left. Patrick, put that back up again. It would be that interior bathroom right there. That would be your safest place to be in event of a tornadic storm. You don't want to be on an outside wall. You don't want to be out in the open. You want to be in a small room. That closet would also be an alternative place to be. So interior part of the house. If you can get under a staircase in your house, that's a strong structure to be in. If you're in a mobile home, you don't want to be there. And we hopefully you've gotten out if you've been in the path of this storm anywhere in its lifespan. So we bring you back to the cell itself. And again, look at how it's changed just over the last few minutes. And we've been watching this cell. So again, it's wrapped up again as it's passing just north of Denniston. In fact, look at this. So not only are you seeing the hook in here, but you're seeing basically an area of echo-free. And so if the storm is doing whatever it's doing, it's going to be right in there. One of the things long time ago in radar meteorology used to look for these things called an echo-free vault. That's what we were trained to look for. And that's what you are seeing right in there. So that is just north of Denniston. Now in Denniston, you are getting high winds. You are getting heavy rain. You are awfully close to the tornadic path. I would say it's at this point just north of 460, but boy, it is close. So you guys need to be in shelter. And that's what we're reminding you folks in Korea, in Artville, in Dan, Big Woods, Scranton. You guys need to be in shelter. The storm's going to be close enough that you don't want to chance it. But I really think it's Korea, Dan, Eve on there as you get into Morgan County, where you're in the greatest danger. Patrick, you got something?
They're just watching now that shower system to the east is now merging in.
Yes.
So they're monitoring how that happened. I mean, of course, we saw what happened the last time, too. Yep. The cells merged.
So we're talking about that cell merger. It's that coming into this. See how that was, remember just a minute ago, this was south of the storm. It is now feeding into the storm, and so it's being sucked in. And so this is the dominant player, but this is now adding its energy into the system. And so this is why we can see this thing continue to wrap up. And this is taking out a much stronger signature than it was 5 minutes ago. So again, the warning that has been put out now for Morgan until 8:45. Keep in mind, this is still Menifee County until 8:15 or 8:45 on that warning. So that's their warning. The Morgan and Menifee. Paths similar to what we saw in 2012. So again, you folks have been through this, unfortunately, and you may be into something here again. But Artville, Korea, Dan, north of 460 is where we're seeing this. For you folks who are in West Liberty, you are still a little ways away. You have time to get to where you need to be. If you know folks that are in eastern Menifee County, trying to get a distance here for you. So eastern Menifee County to West Liberty. So we're roughly 15 miles away. So it's about 45 minutes, give or take, from West Liberty. Don't wait that long. But that means you also have time to think and plan and not panic. Same thing for everybody who's in the direct path right now. Don't panic. but get to your safe spots as this thing is continuing to wrap up. And it looks like we're seeing, again, the downdraft coming in behind. See how you got the inflow notch going right in there, wrapping back in around, and this is approaching Korea now. This is, you guys, my goodness, in Korea, in Artville, in Dan, you are in your shelters now. If you haven't already gotten there, you need to get there immediately. As it going through the eastern part there of Menifee County. The black line you see there, that's going to be the Morgan County line, but that's where we're looking at with this cell. Again, it has wrapped itself up once again. Let's show you the displays on this. Again, the data. See anything on the shears? So this has been holding pretty steady. So again, it's at least the top end of the weak shear. It hasn't gone into where you're seeing the red showing up. This part at least is something good in the fact that you're seeing the reds here, greens here, they're not together. And so we may have a little bit of a broadening going on there once again. Velocity display showing the same. So, but again, this is taking out a pretty classic. I wonder if what do you think, Patrick? The downdraft undercutting?
Kind of looks like it. I mean, they're going to let the old warning expire,
yeah,
but they're going to keep the one they just issued, the downstream.
Yep. Yeah, they wouldn't discontinue it this quickly. I was just trying to get a sense of the situation out there meteorologically. So again, the cell is between Frenchburg and the Morgan County line north of 460. Dan and Korea, you guys are the next ones in the path. It's past north of Denison, although in Denison, I would suspect you're getting some really strong winds right now because that's where the inflow notch. See it right in there? See it? That's where the downdraft's coming in. And so I would suspect you're getting some really strong winds piling in there. And that's what's bowing out that part of the cell, putting the flanking line right in there. So Korea and Dan, even as you get into Morgan County, you guys are the ones who are directly impacted now. Frenchburg, obviously, you're through with the storm. Mariba, the storm has passed by you. Big Woods, you're getting the heavy rain. The cell itself likely goes just to your south, but my goodness, stay in your shelters for just a little while longer. And then it's going to be headed down 460 and along and just north of 460 all the way there into Morgan County. So again, it's Morgan County until 8:45, Menifee County tornado warnings until 8:45. So this cell again has maintained itself pretty well, and I really do think that downdraft, the rear flank downdraft, I think it's undercut. Because you're seeing, but now we're waiting for the cell merger to complete this cycle. Because again, we've lost that structure we had just a little bit ago. And again, the velocity displays, things have spread out. So that cell merger right now may be a disrupting factor. So you need, a tornadic cell needs organization.
They'll be watching the Wellington, the Ebon corridor for the new dominant circulation post. Merger. Okay, so that's exactly where we're looking at right in here. So that's the cell that we're looking at. So again, it's going through the merger process right now. This thing may have, for the moment, spun itself out, but you remember how we had two separate entities? Now we're basically down to one. So this is going to get absorbed in here. We're going to see if this is able then to reconstitute itself and spin up again. Korea, Artville, and Dan, the storm is on top of you pretty much now. And with that, you are, again, maybe seeing a tornado, hopefully not, but you can't take that chance one way or the other. You need to be in the safe spots that we've been talking about. The cell merger is going to continue. That line that you see there, that straight line, that's the Menifee-Morgan County line. So the storm is getting ready to cross into Morgan County at this point. We are still well to the west there of West Liberty, in fact, almost getting to the northwest of West Liberty. So this is going to start to pull away from Highway 460 a little bit more. So this is, you see Clay 26 there, Korea, Dan, Artville. So again, right now, there's not a good structure showing up on radar. This is the cell merger going on that we've been talking about. Morgan County, Menifee County, tornado warnings until 8:45. Velocity displays, again, it's opened up.
It's not what it was a couple of minutes ago. So that's a sign that at least for the moment the storm has cycled down. But it's going through these cycles since 6 o'clock. When the storm was in Jessamine and in Madison counties, we were watching these cycles take place. And then it cycles back up again and re-intensifies. So right now we're on a down part of this cycle. So this is your chance to get to safe spots in Korea and Artville, Dan. Ezell be in that safe spot toward Khaleesi, DeHart, Yoakum, and then eventually West Liberty. But again, West Liberty, you got a few minutes here, but don't dilly-dally in those few minutes. Think of where your safe spot is so that in 5 minutes from now, if you're in West Liberty, you can get to that safe spot and be safe until this storm passes. Tornado warning 8:45, Menifee and Morgan counties. Our shear rates, again, you notice there's not as much yellow, so we're getting more and more green out of this. That's good.
That's saying the rotation is broad, as we've said. It's just that they're still watching. It's in the middle of that merger.
In the middle of the cycle. So I think what they're doing and what we're doing here with you. And again, if you're wanting to watch the NBA game, which I imagine they're still in pregame, but Peacock has it. And once these warnings are done, we will get you right over there. But until then, we're talking about the tornado warnings here. So when you see a blob-like structure like that, okay, that's not as ominous as when you're seeing the out-and-out hooks or separation with a hook coming in. So this is heavy rain. There's going to be some strong winds in here. And that cell merger is taking place right now. Now what we're going to see happen is if this cell merger, as it comes into that, if this is going to become another time where it's going to begin to get into an upswing. We also have more cells that are dropping or coming up from the south, coming up out of Wolfe County. So the storm is going to be passing north of Ezell. So we're getting north of 460 here, at least for the time being. And again, it's moving a little north of due east. That is your setup at this point. The bigger picture, again, that's the only game in town. There are strong storms, garden variety, back here, Danville over toward Stanford and Crab Orchard, down toward Mount Vernon. Nothing has been of those, so we're just letting you know that they're there. Let's get back on the tornado warning. You folks in Artville and Dan, the storm is on top of you now. Big Woods and DeHart, as this cell merges in, we may see if we get another circulation to try and develop maybe a little north where it jumps a little bit. That's something we're going to keep an eye on here. But where it has been recycling is basically what's over Korea and Artville now and Dan. At this point, it doesn't have a tornadic structure. At this point, you're seeing that there is a broad circulation. It is not connected. So at this point, we have cycled down. That said, the storm has gone through these cycles every 5 minutes or so, where you'll see it try and cycle back up. And that's what we're waiting to see now as it's getting ready to move into Morgan County, if this is going to cycle back up again into another tornadic storm. I would say at this particular minute, I don't think it's producing a tornado at this minute. That can change in 5. And that's why we're getting you prepared. You see, as we're looking at the swath here, we had the areas where the reds had shown up. That was part of the cycles that we're talking about. That's where the shear was strong. So again, we're at a downward point in this evolution. But again, we've seen it how several times over the last couple of hours, how it is cycled around and around. So as we pop the radar back on for you, again, we're going to watch this to see if anything begins to develop here. You folks there in West Liberty, stay on alert. 26, Zag, Blaze, Leisure, be ready. The storm is on a path very close to you. You see Licking River there. Again, this will pass likely north of, well, except 460 makes a big bend. But at this point, it's north of 460 as it's getting ready to enter into Morgan County. So there's your cell merger going on. This is our live look at it. So it's again pretty close. Yeah, not getting a velocity, or not getting a lapse on it. All righty. So let's go ahead and bring the Jackson radar back up for you. There's your tornado warning again, Morgan County, Menifee County until 8:45. But again, Frenchburg, you're out of the warning now. You guys are in the clear. Denniston is pretty much in the clear, at least from the tornadic part of the storm. You still have likely some heavy rain going on there along Denniston. But Dan, Korea, Artville, and then now you're getting into Morgan County. So again, right now the cell has gone through a little bit of a weakening phase. It's not as organized as it was. That said, we still have an active tornado warning, which is why we are still here. And we'll continue to be here as long as this active warning is within our viewing area. And with that, West Liberty, again, you're seeing where you are in relation to this storm. At this point, I think it may pass a little north of West Liberty, but boy, it's going to be close, and you don't want to take that chance. So you need to be ready to go to your safe spots. It will pass north of Ezell. It looks like it'll stay north of Bonnie. But again, we're going to watch to see as this cell merges with this one, if we get another spin up again. That's what we're waiting on at this point. And that's why the tornado warning, this is a preemptive tornado warning. They want to have the folks there in Morgan County prepared and ready if the worst case scenario happens and this does develop again. So again, you're seeing the merging taking place here. You see it, how it's coming together. And with that, that is the cell we're waiting on. And you know, sometimes we're doing analysis here together, boys and girls. And so what I'm watching, what caught my eye here, at least in this little bit, see how that's beginning to come out this way? You're getting a little bit of a bowing right there. That may be the next cycle beginning to come together.
They're noticing a downward trend.
Good. I like to hear that downward trend. And hopefully that downward trend is what sticks for the rest of the way out. So we'll see if that develops into anything. So again, that's just something that caught my eye right there. You got your merger going on at this point. I wonder if we got a lapse available. So we'll see that storm come out of. That's when the tornado warning was issued. So again, watch here. You see the hook echoes. You see how those continue. There it goes in past Fagan. You can see it cycling in and out over the course of the last couple of hours, and then it gets extended again, and then it kind of turns into that amorphous blob that you see right there. But again, that notch, that's got me worried right in there. So turn the lapse off. I know it's going through a downward cycling phase. I'm just wondering if it's got one more left in it here. And we'll find out in the next couple of minutes. Hopefully this thing gets discontinued well before the 8:45 expiration time. But until then, we are going to tell you that the storm, and you also notice one other thing. If you were with us earlier, when the cell merger, one of the other cell mergers happened, there was an uptick in the lightning. And this time, at least so far, that hasn't happened. So
they said they're going to drop the warning as is weakened below severe limits.
Love to hear that. So they're going to drop the whole thing?
It just says the warning. I'll ask if that's the whole thing.
Okay. So we'll wait until that official thing comes in so that we don't go in and out on you. But hopefully we can get you to the NBA game here quickly. There it goes. Wonderful. Okay. Folks in Morgan County, you no longer are under a tornado warning. That has been expired. Stay on guard for the next half hour. Wait for this storm to finally clear the area. Menifee County, eastern Menifee County, again, same idea. Steve, if you got that graphic again for the sending us the pictures. But again, for Morgan County, just stay weather aware here for the next little bit. If and when the storm has passed you and you've got a picture to send and you want to share it with us, we would love to see it when it is safe. Send it to LEX18.com/capture. And again, that helps us with ground truth with everything that's been going on. So technically the warning has been allowed to expire. Just stay weather aware. Hopefully we will not see you again until 11 o'clock tonight. But if these storms do ramp up one more time, we will be back here on LEX 18 News with all your complete weather coverage in the Max Track Doppler. Thank you for staying with us. We'll get you over to the NBA.
Isn't that what you want?